honest, because it's words were the first thing spoken in the world if you are to come from a religious point of view. And basically is the foundation of everything that happens in this world. So many, many other art forms become a part of the literature, or are, should I say, they come from literature. And film is one of those art forms. Without a script, without writing, how then does it become a film? You have to put words to paper in order to get what we see visually as a film. So today I am really, really honored to be seated with 4 individuals who are very well versed and knowledgeable in their various aspects of film. If you want a very profound and detailed understanding of what their work is and what their impact has been, I would advise that you visit the Writers Project Ghana website. You see the schedule for PaGya, and we have every single person's bio. And when I mention their name and some of the stuff that they have done, or basically what they do, you will get a sense of why I invited them today to have this discussion with me. So I'll start from my immediate left. We have here Kuukua Eshun, who is a renowned director. She's a film director based in Ghana, but she's Ghanaian American. So welcome, Kuukua Eshun. So a round of applause. And then we have next to her, we have Kobina, Amissah-Sam, who is a renowned actor in Ghana. So a round of applause for him. We also have David Addo-Gyan, who is, I would say he's an all-round filmmaker, just like the two of them also, but he is more into post-production, which has to do with editing, color grading, and all those other aspects. So a round of applause for him. And like I said, I'm not doing them justice by just mentioning a few sentences. You should go on the website and read, and even grab a copy of the schedule, the physical schedule. We have it at the front desk, and you get to see all the accolades and everything they've been able to achieve. But on my farthest, over there is Jessica Hagan. She is a writer and also a filmmaker, but she has more experience in writing for theater, for film, and for TV. So a round of applause. Now, the reason why we have 4 different people from different fields of film is our topic for today is on the art of storytelling in film. When we look at film, what does it entail? How does storytelling play a role? Now I'm sure when you think of a film and you think of storytelling, stories, it just goes to writing. But there's so many aspects to film. So with Jessica, she being a writer, she's going to tell us more about the writing aspects of film, bringing to life these characters through it. Then we have David, who's going to tell us the tail end, which is interesting that they're sitting together. He's going to go to the tail end of film, tell us how editing and color grading, what aspects storytelling has to do with it. Then we also have Kobina-Sam, who is going to tell us, he as an actor, what he has to bring to the table in terms of storytelling, and of course as a director and whole holistic filmmaker. She's also going to tell us what directing or what role directing has to play in storytelling. So I'll go straight to the meat of it, and I'll start with, because I'm very random, I'll start with Kobina, the actor. When we take filmmaking as an art, what role does the actor, as a person, as a tool, have to play in storytelling?
Okay, good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for adding me to the panel. I'm honored. So I believe actors' role basically is to bring the story to life. The story itself is a skeleton, so actors are supposed to put a flesh on it. For me, I believe the script is the foundation of the film. More or less, that's what I mean. And so actors come in, and then based on the characters that we are giving, they're supposed to put flesh on it and make it a reality. So it might in the course of my speech, I'll be giving a bit of examples in some of the films that I've done. Alright, so for instance, in the Battle of Kuukua, I had to play a role of someone who limps and then smokes. And these are the things that I am not. Obviously, I'm not limping and I don't smoke. So then, what do I do? So here's the case. I got a character and I had to sit back and then do a research of the character background and then know why the character is even limping and then smoking. So I got to know in the story that he had an accident and that's why he was limping. So then you have it at the back of him. And then the smoking aspect was part of the character. So days before even we started shooting, I started learning how to limp. So when I leave home and I'm going about my duties in town, sometimes I walk limping in town.
On purpose or
on
just
purpose.
okay.
So that on the day of shoot, you will sit back and not see me doing it just for film. You might think I'm actually someone who lives. So that was what's in my head. That is the character. I have to put flesh on it. I have to make it believable. Because that's what the scriptwriter wrote. And I believe that's what the director also wants. So you have to put the flesh on it. And then I started, smoking before shoot. So I like the promo.
He likes
I like it. The green one, so I'll buy it and I'll be limping in town and I'll be smoking just to let it be part of it. So even when we started filming, when we all gathered and we were packing to go to Eshun to film, I got out from the taxi holding my cigarette, smoking and limping. Some of the crew members actually thought I was really someone who lives. So I remember one of them had a courage to ask me what happened to me. So I'm saying this to let everybody know that is what actors do, performers do. Once you read the character that you give, it's important that you read the whole story from A to Z, get an understanding, overview of the whole story. Then you narrow it down to your character. That's why you have to do a research of your character. Okay, that will help you to be able to get the flesh. So after the film, in fact, I had a hip bone. My hip bone was paining me because of that, because I wasn't. So I'm putting pressure on one leg. So I had that to get time before the movie. And then I started having the urge to continue smoking. I had to try stuff. So I'm saying, because I was really smoking on set. Even when they say cut, I'm smoking. When I'm not ready to go, I'm smoking. Because I wanted it to be part of me. Like, if I'm pulling it and I'm releasing the smoke, you know that, oh, this guy's just smoking. Believable. So that's the underlining word. Be put flesh on the character and make the character.
So it's the story that's already written, and then you now have to integrate it with your body, every other decision. So would you call yourself a method actor?
I would say yes. Because I like doing that.
So if you had to, for instance, I digress, but if you had to maybe do play a particular role where you were Tom Cruising, I would say, which is having to do your own stunts and all that, is it something that you would throw yourself out?
Yeah, I think an actor should be dynamic. Should be dynamic enough. I mean, I've played different roles. I recently played the peer role in a short film for when I got a script, I was a bit skeptical. You know how Ghanaians And so, but when I read the script, it wasn't going to be in your face. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't going to be in your face. So, because the last thing I wanted is, people will tag you. Let me state this, I don't have issue with anybody in the LGBTQ community. I don't have any issue with it, but I am not. So I was thinking about the fact that people will stigmatize you and all that. So that's how we are. A lot of I was skeptical. But when I read it, it was okay. So it's another challenge that I can just take. So I took it, I did it. And interesting, it actually won me an award. So
I thought you were going hard.
Those are you have to take it and then work on it. If you need, there are a lot of stars people in Ghana, so you can work with them, let them train you, you can give yourself maybe a month or two, go on a diet, train the body, get a physique, and then you should be able to do it.
So now going back to the genesis of filmmaking, which is writing or putting pen to paper and then getting the script. So Jessica, take us through a typical process for you if you have to maybe write a film about something. What goes into the storytelling as like creating the character? Can you give us what you draw?
Hello, hi. So my foundation is as a playwright. So I started off writing for theatre, and I still do. And then I moved into TV. And then film was the last medium that I picked up as a writer, and actually the one I'm most uncomfortable with. So I think I always start with an idea. If it's my project, if I'm being commissioned to write something, then typically whoever's commissioning me has an idea about what they want, and typically the idea is always very vague. Like it'll be like, I want this to happen, and it's like there are so many questions you have to ask before you get to that point. And so I think the journey is always finding out the why. Like, why do you want these two characters or these characters to do this thing at this time, or why do you want to tell this story? And then when I get the why, I can go to the genesis of that why and then slowly build a story to get into it. But I think the first thing, if it's my own project, is to ask, is this a film, is this a TV series, or is this a stage play? And why? Like, I think that's the most important thing, because different formats serve different purposes. Like, should this be experienced by a live audience who are engaged with the actor on set? Or should this be something that people follow every week? Or should it be something that people consume in 1 hour, 20 minutes? Like, how effective and potent is this story? And how does it make the most impact? So usually I sit down and I have an idea, and my idea is never like, I don't believe anybody should write or create anything with the intention of success. I think like it's inherently problematic as a creative when you create something just to be successful or just to win an award or just to be known. I think you have to fall in love with the purpose of why you do it. Like, you have to fall in love with, if nobody sees it. Oh, please don't clap this. Thank you. Like, if nobody sees it, is the purpose of this story, like, do I still want to tell this story? If only 5 people see it, like, do I feel like I've accomplished something by creating it? And so I always have to ask myself the why. Like, why am I creating this? What is the effect and intention I want to have? And then I do a vomit draft. So a vomit draft, I'm sure everybody, most people know. But you just write. Like, it probably doesn't even make sense in terms of order, but you just write everything that's in your head surrounding the character or whatever's happening. And it's always the worst draft ever, but it's the best way to get your ideas out there and start playing around. And then I try to take a break and come back to it. And that break can be a few days or it can be a week. And I take a break so that when I come back to it, I can look at it a bit more objectively. Because I think when you're writing something, you get so into it that you kind of lose sight of where you're going. So I take a break and I come back and then I start going into structure. So if it's a theatre play, so right now, for example, I'm writing a musical for a neo-soul musician, and a musical is 2 acts, so I look at the 2-act structure. If it's a TV series, I can 60-minute pilot, I'll look at a 5-act structure and determine what fits in the 5-act structure. If it's a film, it's probably a 3-act structure. Film teacher here. So then I go to structure and I look at like what plot fits in with the structure, and then I start filling everything in.
Interesting. So are you literally having a pen and paper and like drawing tables? Okay, first act, second act, literally.
Yeah.
To fit in the ideas.
Yeah.
So how then do you do that when you're doing the vomit drafts, like you mentioned, this writing? Right. How then do you know that, okay, as I'm writing this, you're not overthinking the process, but how then do you decide, okay, this goes into the first act, how does that
So in my house, I have like a board. It's not this big, and it's a whiteboard in my house on a white wall, and I literally write like act 1, act 2, act 3. Then on another board, I have like sticky notes. And so there'll be like different characters. So like if this character journey is going to be pink, this one's going to be green. And I literally like very physically plan everything out because it's about the process. And like we were talking about this, like the minute you take away the process to get to the end product, you just miss it. Like my favorite part of writing is before like you do that. It's just the process of like creating a world, creating characters, and creating plot. So yeah, I physically pat everything out, but I think the more that you write, the more the act structure becomes in you, so you don't necessarily need to read it. So like, I know my climax is here, I know my resolution is here, I know that this is for exposition, and so automatically it becomes a part of your writing process.
Amazing. So now I'll come to ma'am, director, who has the responsibility of literally bringing what Jessica has written now to life for us to all enjoy. Now, in your process, how is that for you? First of all, as someone who I know also writes, how is it for you writing your own piece and having to now visually let people see exactly what it is you have now versus, I know it's a long one, versus probably being commissioned by someone to work on their project, which is not originally your idea, and then now also interpreting that for others to also enjoy.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Alex, and to PaGya. Where did I get that from? PaGya, first of all, for having me, and thank you for the opportunity. I think it's so interesting for me. Every single project that I've done has always been born out of a poem. Right? Like, even though I'm a writer, I'm a very specific writer. I'm a poem. Like, I'm not a script writer like Jess, right? Whereas, like, I'm more poetic. So a lot of my foundation in film, a lot of my inspiration comes from poetry, right? And it's not just any poetry, it's usually abstract poetry. So it doesn't really make sense.
But you're trying to make sense of that.
Of that, right? Exactly. But for me, I can't even have, there's nothing I've ever directed that wasn't born out of a poem. Everything I ever direct is born out of a poem. Like, it literally begins with a poem. That was the first art that I discovered. I know everyone says 5, and it's so cliche, but it's so true, because that's what I remember. Everyone, you know, so that's how all the ideas begin. It begins with this abstract, I would say very just poetic, lyrical poem, and then from the poem, visuals start coming. It's like, okay, what does this sentence in this poem mean to me? And then from there, it's like born from there. If it's my actual work, right? And then when I'm working with other people, one thing that I don't like to do is to compromise. Like, even with people that I've worked with, I always say to them that, hey, if you're coming to me, then you probably know exactly why. Like, yeah, I'm a film director, but I mean, if you see my film, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna slap you, how dare you? I love those films, I love the drama, right? But it's just not me, right? I'm more poetic, I'm more lyrical. I want to create an artistic experience. Like, most of my films is like, this is like an art piece that I want people to live in, right? It's like when you go to a museum and you're looking at the photos and the art, right? Like, I want my films, like, every single horse happens in the film, I want it to be an art piece. That's how my mind works. Like, I'm putting multiple art pieces together to make a film, right? So I always say to my clients, if that's I've been commissioned as a director, I'm saying, if you came to me, then you probably like my style, right? And my style of work is to be artistic, is to be abstract, is to be poetic, is to be lyrical, is to show the vibrancy and the beauty of Africa, right? That's my whole heart. It's like, I just want to show Africa in the most beautiful, vibrant, colorful.
You can see from the quality.
In the most beautiful, colorful, vibrant way possible, right? Because oftentimes, I love our African films, but I feel like if we can be free and honest and transparent and talk, I feel like a lot of the time, we're just tapping into the same thing. It's like, if I think about Ghana, and I think about the beauty of Ghana, if I think about Tamale, if I think about Kumasi, Accra, and Kobina, I'm like, how hasn't Ghana won the most, like, all the films that's made out of this country should probably be the most artistic, vibrant. Like, literally all the Nigerian clients and artists I have, they look like Kuukua, like, I want to shoot, like, can we shoot in Ghana? Like, I do want to shoot in Ghana. Like, think about it, like, all these people, right, even in the West, like, why is it so consistent that everybody wants to shoot in Ghana? Because it's something that we have so untapped. Like, it's something that we have that clearly, maybe some of our, neighbors don't have. So I think for me as a director, and I love when I heard everyone speak, I think that the most powerful thing about filmmaking is to understand and knowing where you belong in the spectrum, right? And some of us belong to many different aspects of the spectrum, and which is fine. But usually, right, there's a specific, unique thing that you have, a certain eye, a certain heart, a certain passion, a certain, like, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that you have for the spectrum of filmmaking. It's so wide. I mean, all four of us, we all do such wide things, but it's like, where do I belong in the spectrum of filmmaking, and how can I impact it in the most, I don't know, beautiful way? And for me, it's visual storytelling. Like, I can't do a great job as, Samuel or Jess, David. Right? I can't, if I try to do what they do, it will be okay. But if I'm telling visual storytelling, then it's like, that's my gift. That's something that God personally gave to me. So for me, it's like, I've been hired by God to tell the story of Africa in the most beautiful way.
Interesting. Hired by God. I have to write that down. Hired by God.
I mean, it goes to what Jessica was saying. If you think about it this way, how do you make films with, like, I want to be famous and make money? And let's not be, it's good, right? It's nice to have money. It's nice to be known. It's nice to be appreciated. It's nice for people, it's nice to be able to enter certain rooms and make, decisions. But at the end of the day, we are hired by God to tell stories. I don't know if all of you agree. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Now let's come to the chopping board. Someone who has now the daunting task of everything that Kuukua has put down, I want this shot and I want that shot. Now you have the license to cut and say, no, this goes here, that goes here. Before we even go into what it is you really do, David, how do you exert your creative freedom on an artwork when it is yours personally, because I know you also do other aspects of filmmaking, and then also versus working for someone or being commissioned to work on an artwork?
I think most people think about post-production as, or editing, because it's in the post phase, as the end bit. All of us, even in the writing process, we have to edit the work. There's this statement that they wrote at the top of the whiteboard when I was in film school: suspension is belief, right? And so you have to create a world that is convincing. You have to create a world that's engaging, that is intriguing, and that is where editing starts. But when the raw ideas come, maybe in your own frame of reference, that might be exciting. But you have to ask yourself, what would an audience think of this, right? And then you start crafting, shaping some stuff up, and some things, and up. So that's where editing starts, right? Historically, editors have been great directors have been great editors because of that portion. And so that is the work. It's very little to do with the tools, but more to do with understanding. One of my mentors when I started, her name is PaGya, who said what we do, right, is so we are the first audience.
Sorry, do you mind a little to the
We are
right?
the first audience, and so in order for you to be an effective editor, right, you have to understand the audience, which also dictated a second rule, which was never edit something you want to watch, right? Because then you will be a bad audience. Because before you've seen the film, you hate it, right? And so you can't be a good audience. And so in film school, I was encouraged to watch as many films as I could. I used to watch 2 feature films a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. And by the time I left film school, I watched 1,117 films. And so. But there's also something that made me stand out, right? Is I have a knack for finding problems, right? I used to think it was a curse because I would watch something and I would lose my mind trying to figure out why doesn't this thing work. And so my entire career has been trying to look at different films to understand how they made it work, okay? So that I'm not only good at pointing out the problems, but I'm also good at finding solutions and offering solutions. And so that's the posture of an editor, is to be that first audience and to look at the work like a carver, right? Look at a piece of wood, you see a duck, I want to make a duck and carve out anything that hinders that image, right?
It's interesting how when we're talking about storytelling and telling a story, we hardly speak on the post part, which is the editing. Because, I mean, when you see a trailer of a film, it prompts you to watch the film, right? More often than not, if you're being honest. But yes, I mean, you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, I would like to see this. And we actually have people who are trained to just be, trailer editors. That's what they do. And so, like, it's really important because I feel like it has the ability to make or break the film. Now, for you, can you give us an instance where the editing or your role as an editor changed the narrative of a film? For instance, I've made a film, I have my visuals there, but I feel like there's something missing, and I bring it to you. You as a storyteller, how then do you use your skill as editor or as an editor to fix or to make a story out of nothing, which is what every storyteller does. You are telling something out of nothing. So if I have some visuals that may not make sense, how then as an editor do you make sense of visuals?
Right. It's a difficult question to answer. Because the editor's job is not to save a production. If an editor saves a production, the writing is fine. So the way that I bring my tools or my skills to the table is that usually I'm a fresh pair of eyes. After a long process, people have written, shot, and so I'm a fresh pair of eyes. I can look at the thing objectively and say, okay, on paper this looks amazing, right? This should make sense, but visually it doesn't add up. And so why doesn't it add up? Maybe the acting was a bit over the top. So again, it's no longer believable. Maybe it's too much information. And so maybe cutting out a scene, taking out a few shots will tighten it up and build more suspense, right? Sometimes it's just timing, this is more evident in documentary where everything is like, a lot of the work is in post. And then in that situation, you have to again be that first audience and ask yourself, what of this story do I want to see? What is convincing me? What is missing? And pushing and pulling, adding stuff, rearranging things. There's a film that I worked on in 2017. It was a Danish film, and the film didn't make sense in the order that it was, and they sat with it for maybe 8 months. And I watched it a couple of times, and I knew there was something wrong. It didn't make sense to me until I watched the Japanese film by PaGya. And immediately we just switched an entire scene with another scene, and the film worked perfectly. So it's just being open and also having like massive library of what cinema has been over the years. Starting with shows, filmmakers, ideas that have been expressed over time, and being open. There's a term that we use called kill your darlings. It's a very difficult thing for directors to do, right? And I fight with directors all the time because of that. It's like we spend like 16 days prepping this shot and you're telling me it doesn't work, you know? And yeah, I've had to quit. But later on.
Wait, can you say that again? No, you just glossed over that. So you had to like tell them that no.
There's no way this film will work with the shot in there. And if you want it there, I can't help this film. Okay, and I've had to walk away. 2 instances, one of them the person came back and said, okay, can we compromise? And I said no, and he said, okay, I like your idea. The other one, after today, we will speak. Because I threatened their lyrics.
Well, for those who may not know what that means, killing your darlings or your babies is, when you have your footages, work hard to get to like dimension, and then the editor is like, no, this won't work, let's trash it. And you're thinking of all the money you spent to rent the camera to shoot that shot, and the lightsman stood here and they angled the lights against the lady, and they're like, oh, it's not going to work. So that's why you kill them, but then sometimes it helps for the story to move forward. So I'll come back to you, Jessica. Do you think about your other colleagues? And I'm saying that because they're sitting here. I want them to attack you. You don't get it. Do you think about the other processes in the filmmaking process when you are writing?
Yeah. I think to be a writer is to be like a visionary. Like I think you have a vision before you create the words that birth it. And so I've already thought about the director and the style of directing and the cinematography, and I've already thought about the actor and the extent of the emotion that I want to be conveyed. I don't necessarily think about the editor. In my head I'm like, do what I say, but just do it. Like, why do you get it?
Yeah,
because I just get it done. Yeah, I think you have, like, writers are visionaries. Like, we see the movie in our minds before we put it down, and I think by virtue of that, you think about everything else. I especially think about actors a lot, and I think it's obviously because of my theatre background. Like with stage, you rely on your actors. Like they are the most important and incredible thing that you can have. And so I always think about my actors and the dynamic. And I love method actors. Like no one wants to do method anymore because it's quite dangerous. But it's just the best way to get the best out of a film. Like there's nothing more incredible than an actor who becomes the character that you've created. And so yeah, I do think about them. I not so much everything else.
Well, interesting. And Kuukua, I heard you say, do it,
Yeah.
Yes, but has there ever been an instance in your storytelling process where you're working with an editor and he or she has their own way they think the production should go, and then you are like, that's not what I see. How were you able to navigate that whole process?
So to be completely transparent, that's the word of the day. To be completely honest, when I started this filmmaking, I was young. Usually, as a director, when I'm young, a lot of people on set are older than me, and most people have more experience. All the people I work with on set, they have more experience because they're older, they're in their 40s, some are in their 50s, they've been in the industry longer, they're stronger and taller and bigger than me. Because they're mostly men, right? It's like 95% men. So usually, let me talk about what I used to do so it can make sense when I do that. In the beginning, I went with the mindset of, well, I'm the boss. Like, this is my money. Like, the executive producer came to me, like, I'm paying you, so you do what I want. But I understood very quickly that that doesn't work. Especially men don't speak that language. Like, men can't hear you when you say, listen, I'm the boss and you're woman. Like, no offense, that's just how, men are created, right? But if you come to the film industry, you're dealing with creatives, right? With their own backgrounds, with their own traumas, with their own, and creatives are very passionate people. Creatives are filled with so much passion and so much ambition and so much. So if you mix passion with ambition, that's a time bomb. So most creatives are time bombs, like right into the school, right? Because they're just filled with so much passion and ambition, right? So in that case, I had to learn. And it's so interesting. I feel like we don't usually talk about psychology when it comes to films. Trust me, like it's a whole art. Like there's so much psychology when it comes to filmmaking. Like if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to treat people, if you don't know how to keep your composure, if you are not a people's person, you see what I'm saying? No, like you can't work. I figured, I was like, yeah, I have my ideas, and as a woman, I'm ambitious, I'm a go-getter, I'm able, I'm all these great things, right? But I need the other people to make this mission work. So it's like, is my need for the other people greater than what like me being the boss of what I want to see? I had to choose one. So I had to like go through the process of like, okay, I need to understand that other people are also bringing what they got, which I don't have. Because if I had it, why would I need them? You see what I'm saying? No, to the table, and we can mix this thing, right? We can make this cocktail, and it can taste exactly how, but I need to compromise with people's personality. Not with mine. I don't compromise with my art, but I compromise with people's personalities. Because everyone has different personalities. So in the beginning, it was very difficult. Because I came with this like hot-tempered, like typical American character. Like, what do you mean? Like, Oh, but I learned very quickly. Now I'm just like, oh, really? I'm so sorry. Okay, so what can we do? Like, I'm not, arguing, and yeah, I'm just like, I need to. And also, I sit with. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but I sit with all my editors. There's no film that I've made that I was not in post-productions. And music, and like whatever, sound design, music, editing, I'm sitting there. Let's believe I'm sitting there. Sometimes we can sit, I don't even know Majid, the editor, I'm sitting with him, sometimes for 3 days. Like literally, like sometimes like I only get to take a shower like once. I come sit at the book, like we're finished, I'm sitting with my editor. Let's believe that's one thing I would do. One thing Kuukua would do is sit with the editor.
Interesting.
So we can,
Yeah, so that we can get the work done. If you have any questions, raise your hand and then we can definitely address them. But I saw the reaction. But let me take this,
So you don't like that? You don't like your director sitting in the room with you?
Not in the edits. Most of the directors I work with, we sit during the scripting. So when they're doing the script breakdowns, they're doing the shooting scripts and stuff, we already have this long conversation where we covered what the visual style is, where it's going. So when it gets to editing, mostly it edits itself. Most of the films edit.
Yeah. But most of the things you're talking about are scripted films. I'm talking about abstract, like state.
Yeah. I would want the director to be there because it's a lot of conversation where you send a cut and they're like, nah,
exactly.
I would rather have him there.
It saved me so much time and blows. Thank God I haven't been here. I haven't been here, so hopefully I'm doing something right.
Like I said, don't hesitate to raise your hand, and so great, awesome. Yes, please. You can.
Thank you very much for the insightful discussion. I have a question because you've been talking about how many people are involved in making a movie or a film, a series, whatever. Do you think that filmmaking is therefore a more a better reflection of society and current society discourses and so on than other forms of art where many people work more individually on it.
Okay, I believe that filmmaking is one of the most powerful tools that we have as art, right? Because in filmmaking, only are you not seeing, you're hearing, like you're using almost all your senses when it comes to composition, but almost all the other senses, right, in filmmaking. And in that, I believe that what people see, like, is what they believe. Because if you're seeing something continuously, like who literally looks at themselves and like, oh my gosh, I'll become my mom. But I didn't think I was picking up the things that my mom did. You know, like my mom is like a clean freak. And like you can't take the shoes in the living room, everything has to be right. And now I find myself doing that because I've seen it. So I feel like the idea of filmmaking, like it truly shapes the human thinking and our emotions deeper than we think. So I don't think it's more important than art forms, but I think that it has deeper effects on the human brain.
I agree, but I actually think that filmmaking is the most selfish of the film, theatre, and TV. I think it's so selfish. The idea that there's one screenwriter who writes the screenplay, and what that screenwriter writes is it. And then there's a director, one director, who can sit in edits if they want to. And then, like, I think that's actually why, like, I'm sorry to say this, but film is my least favorite. Because with theatre, you literally get the input of your actors. Like, you need them in order for your play to work. Like, you need them to say, I don't feel like my character can say this. Like, they're invited to collaborate. With TV, maybe not in Ghana, but typically in TV, you have a writer's room. And your writer's room is 6 to 8 writers who actually develop the series with you. So you have your showrunner, your head writer, and then you have people that are just hired to challenge your ideas and be like, I have this idea, I have this idea, I don't like this. And so by the time your series is written, you have contributions. And if you're not if you're a good person, but if you want good work, then in your writer's room you hire people from different backgrounds and like different races and different religions and like different education levels, so that they all contribute to a wholesome story. And for me, that is way more reflective of society than one writer who sits in their room all day. And I think I can say it because I am a writer, but like sits in their room all day and is like, turn this into a vision. Whereas a TV show, you have an equal contribution. And then obviously if you're like, so like the shows that I have in development, like I've got a show in development with different development companies, and you have producers who also give their input. So by the time it's done, it's like, wow, we all created this together. Whereas with film, it's like, wow, this writer and this director created this great film, and this one actor gets an award. And for me, it's like, that's not reflective of society. Like that is, it's like the thing I hate most about creativity, especially film, is it's so individualistic, and people can only be there. Do you know what I mean? They can only be there to serve one vision, whereas I think TV and theatre allows so many different visions to come together. So.
I think I agree with that. And interestingly, I've never thought of it that way, but it's true. When you see people win an Emmy, for instance, or they win a Tony or an Emmy, you can see that it's not just the actor who's celebrating. The whole cast, the whole crew is carrying them and saying, we won an Emmy, you know? But in the Oscars, we have an actor who wins an award and they're like, the best actor, he did a fantastic job, and very, so yeah, that's an interesting way of seeing it. So thank you for that.
Don't you think that there is room to be more inclusive?
I feel like it depends on personalities, like different directors' personality or producers. Because even sometimes I've worked on certain projects where the producer has more input than me as a director. is the producer for the project, right? I do the commercial for Facebook. I was not like, my input didn't matter as much as the producer or the executive producer. It was like, we need your creativity and your brain, okay? But we're the money people, okay? So this is it. You do this job, right? So I feel like sometimes even directors feel that way, right? We're dealing with executive producers and producers who bring the money on board. We're just like, you need to do ABC, right? We're directors are like, but I think this we do this way and that way, right? I mean, that's like where you come in as an editor, where you're just like, wait, but why are you guys not doing it this way? So I feel like it depends on specific film projects and personalities of directors and producers to have that input.
So unfortunately, we don't have all day to have this conversation. Before I get to your question, I'll just say, as an actor, do you think that you have, I mean, the three of us have said, oh, I have the power to do this, and you also said you have the power to do your role, as opposed to the film. Do you think that as an actor you can change the dynamics of the story of the film? Do you think that one individual has that power to change the dynamics of the film?
See, when you're watching a film, what do you see?
That's the truth. Yeah. They get all the credit. Let's be real. Who knows the director? Everyone knows the actor.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So what do you see? I mean, if you have a bad actor, especially maybe being the lead character,
Yes.
the whole film is bad.
But it's not bad acting, it's bad casting.
Yes.
They can go, the two can go. I mean, see, if your lead or if your lead actors are not doing justice to the roles, and the film becomes boring and annoying, and you don't want to watch it, we brought the whole film down. I don't know if we could also blame the director.
Interesting.
Because the reason they, no, of course, they are sitting behind, they are watching. So maybe some, I don't like the way you deliver this.
Right.
Maybe you should be a bit calm. You are talking to your wife, so be a bit calm. She's not your girlfriend or something. So be a bit calm.
Well, I refrain from using the word blame.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
it's harsh.
that's
Maybe
just
it's
to say,
harsh.
because I don't want anyone to.
Sure. Maybe it's harsh.
I think it's just like an action and reaction kind of thing. So it's like someone will react to whatever it is you give to them. It's like a bouncing back effect, really. So I feel like blaming in
No,
creative.
I will go.
Yes.
So if you give me a role, I'm supposed to play with you,
Yes.
and we are delivering lines, and the lines is, the way we are delivering it is not making it interesting. The others lies on the director to pause.
Right.
Okay, and then we'll come back to us and say, listen, you guys, this scene is intense. Maybe I've scammed you, or just come. So now you guys are having an argument. Why are you talking like friends? I need a heated argument. I need this is intense. So that is the directors. But what I'm saying that me, personally, if you give me a room, I do research on the role itself. If the director doesn't want it and wants another way, I adjust because I'm being paid to win. Because they have the vision. The writer has a vision. The reason why they wrote what they wrote, the director also has a vision. Like I said, the story is the foundation.
Yes.
Maybe I'll have a scene that says, when you go into the room and you see Kwame, you point the gun at Kwame. Now, the director thinks that maybe I want it to be a bit more dramatic. So when you go to the room, take a few steps, look left, look right, and then point the gun. Get my point. You can't always just go straight
To it.
It has to be.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was listening to Ryan Kuukua has a podcast in Block 17, and it was him and Cord Jefferson that directed American Fiction. And Jeffrey Wright is the lead character. And Cord was basically, I think it was his first feature. And he was saying, like, because Jeffrey Wright is like such an established actor, he was so concerned about directing him. He was like, Jeffrey went and did all the work, like, why do I need to tell him what to do? And one of the producers is like, no, Jeffrey needs you to direct him. Like, irregardless of his past experience, this is a completely new job. And when he did that, Jeffrey responded to it, and it was a completely different film because of his ability to just be like, do you know what I mean? So I completely
So it's the director's job to shoot. No matter what, even if you are directing Denzel, you should be able to direct Denzel.
Absolutely, because but that's the thing, I feel like there's a certain responsibility, right, that comes. Okay, the way that I understood film when I started is that as a director, you're literally everything. You're also the editor, you're also the makeup artist, you're also the fashion, costume. Like the director is everything themselves. Because without that vision, and also you've got to collect somebody else's money. Let's be real. Like so, that part where directors are crazy because they owe somebody a lot of money. Like what you know what I'm saying? That it's like I'm doing the I hired you, right? Like you said. So maybe he's like, I'm just thinking of this as okay, I've been hired, I'm getting paid to do this to play this character. But the director's not thinking that. He's like, somebody has to give me money to make this movie, and then this film, like, it's either I'm making the money back, or, you know what I'm saying? No, like, that's, we're thinking on a big budget. But obviously, if you're working in a show for your own movie, that's like, just said, that's passion, and that's more like, hey, this is art, this is a solution to it.
So unfortunately, we will not be able to take any more questions. Save hairs, yes, just hairs. Oh yes. We are taking hairs and then we'll wrap it up here.
Okay, so I just want to thank you all for sharing your stories and your journeys with us. And the question I have is more of what advice would you give to upcoming creatives? Because I've kind of like had like some experience with writing. And I felt like it was harder to get recognized writing than when I was acting because like people know your face. I'm like, oh, I want to see more of this person. So I just want to know like how was the journey like for each of you? Like how was it like editing? Like you're like not in front of the screen. So like how do people know you? How do people come to you for like more work and like directing? Like there's so much that goes into it, like learning makeup, learning lighting. Like how do you start your journeys and towards like recognition in the industries?
So I just want a quick plug. So I have an organisation called the Writers Room, and it literally is for writers, and we launched this year, but we basically have a script library which has like hundreds of scripts from films, TV series, stage plays and stuff on there, just to get better at your craft, because I think reading scripts is like the best way. But I think networking is so important. Like you have to get to know people. Like our industry is so collaborative, and it's so important to like understand and take genuine interest in what other people are doing, and like actually building genuine relationships with people. Like Kuukua and I met from a project, and I see Kuukua everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like we see each other so much now, like we bump into each other all the time. And so relationship, like we met somewhere so random. Yeah, and so I think relationship is important, but also you weren't here when I said it, but just don't worry about like your name. I think the most important thing is your art and what you want to say. And I genuinely, and maybe it's because I have faith, but I think everything works out. I think the most important thing to do is to really find out what your voice is and create the work that speaks to your voice, and it will attract the people that it needs to attract in order to get there. One thing I've learned, which I didn't do, is I always think people should start with a short film. Like, I really think short films are the best way to like get your voice out there. It's just the best way to like genuinely not care about the industry and do what you want to do. So yeah, that's my advice to you. And take my email address. Yes, I have projects, like so many, so you can connect.
I'm just going to piggyback on what Jessica said. One of the most important things, right, that she said that I'm going to add to it is that we think because of this world of generation, the visibility means great. Visibility means best. That's not true. So going in to say, I want to be recognized, that's an issue. Trust me, you are definitely going to hit a wall. Anybody that has the mindset of, I need to be an actress, because you know, most people, I had a conversation with a young guy who, oh my gosh, fantastic, genius, mind-blowing with cinematographer, and he wants to be an actor. And I sat him there, I said, Phyllis, why do you want to be an actor? Like, you're literally one of the most incredible, and you're just using your phone, and I see it, I see the way, I see your eye, I see the way that you relate with the camera. you're an incredible cinematographer. Fast forward, he has a film today, and incredible. Like, he wants to be an actor, because for him, he's like, oh, I need visibility. But trust me, most people in the creative industry right now, everyone is chasing visibility, and that's not the way to go. It's not about visibility. It's about where do I belong in the spectrum of creativity. When you find where you belong, once you say trust me, the visibility is gonna come. But if that's your first thing, then you've already missed out. Even before it started, like you have to understand where you belong in the spectrum of creativity, and you have to like grow, right? Because the thing about visibility is value. Nobody's gonna pay you or recognize you or award you for something you don't have. The reason why people will come to Jazz or people will come to David or Sam or me to pay us is because we have a value that they want. That's the point of life. I have value, you need value, you pay me for the value. So build yourself wherever you belong in the spectrum of creativity, and the recognition and the visibility will come if you must get it. Some of the most incredible, creative people that I know, I have ultimate respect for. They don't even have 1,000 followers. Trust me, noise doesn't always mean success. Trust me. I have a platform, I'm telling you this. It doesn't work that way. Visibility is the worst thing that ever happened to creators.
Let me just add to that. I am able to walk through town peacefully. I can take trotro if I want to. If my car is not working, I can take trotro and nobody sees me. But I can tell you, I have about 18 films to my credits.
Wow. That's incredible.
And I have about 3 or 4 international ones. Now, the reason is that I am very choosy the kind of scripts that I take. So it's not about, I want to be out there, I want to be out there, I want to be out there. It's about doing something genuine, something beautiful, something different. You know, that is what I want. When I got a role for this of non-issue, people had gone for audition way before me. I was just taking a little boy to go and audition for the child, one of those child students. And I got there and I was told to audition for the film. So I just auditioned, 2 days later, they called me and I got in. And then it followed. So as we sit now, there's a German film coming out by Paramount that I am in there. But how many people are going from Ghana? So I work freely. I am not Dumelo. If Dumelo comes in right now, you know it's. If Ajite comes in right now, you know it's Ajite, right? Yes. But you don't know. But I have films to write. I work freely. So like she's saying, it's not about that. It's about doing what you love most and giving all the seriousness and attention. Like the fact that you don't see him on screen doesn't mean that he's not getting gigs.
Yeah.
He's probably getting it more than me.
Yes. No,
But yeah, because probably he's even editing about 5 films right now.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So,
And not everybody's meant to be in the forefront.
exactly.
Right?
So I am just privileged to be there.
Yeah.
She's privileged. She is. So just whatever you want to do, just do it for like link up with her and then mentor her.
And finally, to edit it all.
I think they said really interesting things that are very true. The 2 things that have worked for me the most is understanding what success means to you. Because, I mean, fame may not be all that it's hyped up to be, but maybe it's important to you. If it's important to you, work towards it. If you are more interested in making substantial work, and the work itself, the process is going to find satisfaction, and then work towards that. One thing that she mentioned that I thought was very interesting that she glossed about was relationships. Right?
Yeah.
My entire career is based on relationships. I don't have an ad, I don't have a Facebook, I don't have Instagram, a website, or anything. My last work is always my business card.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody watches the film and they're like, this was really good, right? And it's very difficult because when the film is really good, nobody thinks about the editing. right? Our job is to be visible, right? When you see our work, we're doing a crappy job. If you can't see it, that's when we're doing like the best job ever. I think it was Ian Fleming who said that a good editor makes the director look good.
Yeah.
Right? But a great editor makes the film look like it wasn't directed at all. Right? Like it's so real and it's so believable that you can't believe that this thing is good. And so if you are deciding to come to our side, which is the invisible side, right? What you need to do is make sure that.
But it's not invisible. It's just a side. No, it's not like visible or invisible. It's moving like a spectrum.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that if that's what you want to do, if you want to just work hard and craft and develop the storytelling skills, then you need to really watch films. That's 100% work. You need to know what a good film is. If you don't have a frame of reference, you are just shooting in the dark. And so, building relationships. There are certain directors who will always call you first.
Yeah.
Even if I say no, even if they know I'm busy, they'll call me and say, okay. They're like, I need you to make this film. I know directors who have halted their film for about 5 to 6 months, just so I would be available to work on this stuff. And that's just relationships. It's always attitude. If you have a good energy, you have good attitude, people will want to work with you. There's certain people who have given, like the first sci-fi film I worked on, I had no idea what visual effects, the stuff we were trying to do, what it took to make that kind of work. And they were like, yeah, but I like your energy and I know that you can figure it out, and so I'll find people to teach you how to do the work. And they paid me full, as if I had, had all this.
No, that's powerful, guys. That's what's going to take you to
And so you really need to have a good energy and you need to learn, have a learning spirit. There's certain people I've worked with who are like, yeah, I've arrived. I know what I'm talking about. And the film is crappy. And nobody will tell you that this industry is very shady. Nobody will tell you it's a bad film. Oh yeah, solid film. You deserve an Oscar. But yeah, so if you're genuine, people will be genuine with you. And you will know when you're hearing, of course. And people, if you're approachable, people will offer help, right? And so yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yes, one little thing I want to add is
that with everything that we said, the most important thing is to know yourself. If you don't know yourself, none of all this conversation doesn't matter. Especially as a creator, it's so easy to lose yourself. So that's all. That's what has kept me. To know yourself, know where you're at. That's more important than you becoming a known creator. Trust me. Know yourself.
drops mic. From the little I've seen, I'm sure we've gotten so much from this talk. No matter what aspect of film you find yourself, it can be film, it can be theater, it can be any form of creativity, music. But knowing that you are not alone on this walk. You have a lot of other people who are behind, in front of you, by your side, to make your project come to life. No man is an island, especially in creativity. So it's important to think about your other creatives who are creating your work. It's important to understand that whether it's my work or another person's work, I have to understand what it entails. As an actor, it's also important to understand that you are the one carrying the film visually. And as a director, don't think about being on the straight course that, okay, this is how directing is and films are supposed to look that way. She has her own path that she has carved for herself. So let's see different paths being carved. My name is Johnson, and it's been awesome having Kuukua, Eshun, Kobina, Amissah-Sam, David Addo-Gyan, and Jessica Hagan here. It's been amazing, and I'm sure you also had so much fun. Don't forget, this is still PaGya. We have amazing other sessions going on right now. So as you exit, maybe grab something and then go check out so many other sessions that we have, and you get to save. And let me just plug myself here shamelessly. Yes, you can follow AJ for shorts for stuff on creativity. I like to share things concerning Ghana and Africa. And yeah, let's promote Africa the best way we can. Thank you so much.